They stood in the ocean for hours. Water to their necks. Waiting in formation. Bombs falling around them. When a ship finally arrived, the line surged forward. Men drowned each other trying to reach it. The dead floated past those still waiting. Nobody moved them. You stepped on bodies or you died. 338,000 men were evacuated from Dunkirk. They call it a miracle. But 68,000 never left. Dead on the beaches. Drowned in the harbor. Burned in the boats. The miracle was built on a foundation of corpses. And the survivors never forgot what they did to reach those boats. This is documented. War diaries. Survivor testimony. Military records. Subscribe now because what happened at Dunkirk will destroy the sanitized version you learned in school. This isn't about British spirit. It's about what happens when 400,000 men realize their government left them to die. Let's go back. May 10, 1940. When they still believed in the plan. The British Expeditionary Force. 300,000 professional soldiers. The best Britain had. Sent to France in 1939. They spent months digging fortifications. Training. Waiting. Writing letters home about boring garrison duty. Complaining about French food. They were bored. They wanted action. They were children. May 10, 1940. Germany attacked. Not where expected. Through the Ardennes forest. Impossible terrain for tanks. Except the Germans did it anyway. Within days, the British were surrounded. Cut off. The Belgian army collapsed. The French were retreating. The boring garrison duty became a fighting retreat toward the coast. High Command made a decision. Retreat to Dunkirk. A small port town. Hold a perimeter. Wait for evacuation. But there was a problem. 400,000 men. Dunkirk's harbor could fit maybe a dozen large ships. The math was simple. Most wouldn't make it. Command knew this. The soldiers didn't. Yet. May 24, British Command issued a quiet order. Priority evacuation for essential personnel. Officers first. Specialists. The expendable infantry would hold the perimeter until the important men were safe. Then, maybe, boats would return. This order was never announced to the men. They were told everyone was equal. It was a lie. The first units arrived May 26. They saw the beach. Miles of flat sand. No cover. No defenses. And the harbor. Already bombed. Ships burning. The entire town was on fire. German artillery could see everything. The Luftwaffe owned the sky. And 400,000 men were ordered to stand there. Exposed. And wait. May 27 morning. The Luftwaffe came. Stukas. Dive bombers. Screaming sirens. 400,000 men pressed flat on sand. No trenches. No bunkers. Just sand. The bombs walked up the beach. You heard them getting closer. Explosion. Closer. Explosion. Closer. You waited to see if the next one had your name. Officers organized queues. British discipline. Form orderly lines into the ocean. Wait your turn. The lines stretched 300 yards into the water. Men standing in ocean to their necks. 4 hours. Hypothermia set in. Some just slipped under. Drowned standing up. The line closed ranks. Moved forward. Nobody broke formation. Nobody. Day 3. The Royal Navy sent destroyers. Big ships. Fast. They could save thousands. The first destroyer loaded 2,000 men. Started to leave. A Stuka hit it. The ship exploded. Sank in minutes. 1,700 drowned. Trapped below deck. Men on the beach watched. The destroyers stopped coming. Too valuable to risk. So they called the little ships civilian boats, fishing trawlers, pleasure yachts, personal boats, volunteers sailing into a war zone. History calls it heroic. It was also necessary. Because the Navy abandoned them. The civilians came because professionals refused to. Heroism born from institutional failure. Civilians cleaning up the military's mess. Day 5. A boat arrived. Too small. Capacity 30. 300 men rushed it. Fighting. Drowning each other. Pulling men back into the water to take their place. Officers shot their own men trying to restore order. The boat capsized. Everyone drowned. This happened repeatedly. Daily. At every boat. This was the miracle. This. Someone had to hold the perimeter. Keep Germans back while evacuation continued. High Command chose the French. And told them last. French soldiers realized they were holding the line so British could escape. They were the sacrifice. Promised evacuation that would never come. 40,000 French surrendered June 4. After the British left. They spent 5 years in camps. Some men couldn't wait. Day 7. They swam for it. Miles to the boats. In uniform. With gear. In May water. Cold. Most drowned halfway. But they kept trying. Every day. Men swam toward England. Bodies floated everywhere. The living swam through the dead. Used corpses as flotation. This was survival. This was the miracle. Day 8. Day 9. The perimeter shrinking. Germans closer. Artillery hitting the beach now. Shrapnel through crowds. Men buried each other in sand. Shallow graves dug by friends who would dig their own tomorrow. The beach became a cemetery with living men waiting their turn. Some stopped trying. Just sat down. Waited. Accepted it. June 4 final evacuation. The last boats left. Thousands still on the beach. Watching them go. The boats didn't return. German army arrived hours later. 40,000 British soldiers surrendered. They survived Dunkirk. Then spent 5 years as POWs. The miracle left them behind. Deliberately. Acceptable losses. The evacuated arrived in England. Expected courts-martial. Defeat. Shame. Instead. Cheering crowds. Parades. Churchill called it a miracle. The newspapers agreed. The soldiers knew better. They knew about the drowning. The panic. The men shot for rushing boats. The French betrayed. The swimmers who died. But nobody wanted to hear that. So they stayed silent. The Dunkirk veterans never talked about it. Not at reunions. Not to family. Not in memoirs. When they died, their children found journals. Letters. Confessions written but never sent. Describing what they did. Who they pushed aside. Who they stepped on. Who they left. The guilt never left. The miracle haunted them until death. Today they call Dunkirk the miracle of deliverance. They make movies. Celebrate the spirit. Honor the heroism. And all of that happened. But so did the drownings. The panic. The shooting. The betrayal. The abandonment. History remembers miracles. Survivors remember what miracles cost. And sometimes, the miracle is just being able to forget what you did to survive it.